Ultimate Collectibles here with childhood memories. I'm very excited. This is the first Thundercats piece I have ever received, and it is by Sideshow. There's quite a few more coming out, both from Sideshow and custom, so I thought we'd look at this one and see what we think. Ultimate Collectibles here with Sideshow's Mumm-Ra statue. I don't know if this is 1/4 or 1/5 because it doesn't say on Sideshow's website. I believe it's 1/5. It kind of falls in line with the Masters of the Universe, which is what I plan to display it with. So Mumm-Ra. Mumm-Ra is the villain in the Thundercats cartoon. Thundercats, if you were a child in the 80s, then you know exactly what it is. If you don't, it's a cartoon of animal type people. The leader of the Thundercats, his name is Lino. He's part man, part lion. You know, there's Cheetah, Panthero, all these half cat, half human mystical individuals fighting this guy right here. Mumm-Ra, the evil spirits, master of evil spirits. I don't know exactly his title, but I grew up with this cartoon and I loved it. So this is very nostalgic. It brings back those memories for me. When I heard that Sideshow was doing a line, I had to jump on board, and with that, a lot of custom pieces have started to follow as well. So the ES on this is either 600 or 650 for the exclusive. The exclusive features the scimitar or the weapon that he is holding right here. Otherwise, I believe the collector's just comes with a hand like this from their stock photo. I didn't actually have their hand out because it's in my warehouse with the boxes, because I will never display it that way. Price on this guy, I want to say he was right around 525 or 480, something in that range. So very good deal for a 5th scale, 1/4 scale piece, especially going with you know, just a character I love so much. I got him on PO day 1, I believe, and then he was delivered a month or 2 ago. They're still available on Sideshow's website, so I wanted to do the review to you know, anyone else who wanted to purchase them. They could make their own decision. Came in one box, few different pieces. The base, some of these animal type pieces are actually magnets that go in. I think just some of them, correct? The base, and then Mumm-Ra himself is one piece other than his hands and his head and his mixed media cape on the back. So you connect all those, but it takes seconds to assemble. Pretty easy assembly. No issues on shipping, no paint issues, unless I find any during this review. No, you know, magnet issues or connection issues, anything like that. So very excited to have this piece. I do have Lino coming, which a lot of people are hating, but hey, the exclusive version is sold out, so obviously not enough people. But you can't have Mumm-Ra without Lino. And I do know there's, like I said, some custom Linos coming out. Some are, there's a 1/3 one that I think looks really good, but I hate mixing scales. Concept and design on this piece is pretty neat. So obviously it's a dynamic pose, dynamic meaning action pose. He's ready to fight someone, and I'm gonna put him right up against Lino when Lino arrives. So they're in an epic battle. He is sitting here on a very cool looking base. First of all, it kind of reminds me of Conan the Barbarian. Because the big snake, maybe Conan the Destroyer, the Barbarian, Conan the Barbarian, because of the big snake like scales wrapped around the outside of the base. Then you have different stone statues of different stone heads of different creatures, warthog, some type of bird, bull, alligator. Then inside he's standing on almost like a cave-like, where there's some stalactites because they're coming from the top. Mites come from the bottom, I believe. Over some type of crazy purple bluish cauldron or well. It's kind of hard to describe what this is. It's not very realistic, but then again, we're talking about Mumm-Ra, a mummy that transforms into a giant evil spirit. So it's very cool. The base, I think it's one of the best parts of this statue. And then Mumm-Ra in his dynamic pose with his weapon and his facial expression, he's ready to kick some Thundercat butt, and he's displaying all of his power and his might. So this one sold out. I thought this one initially sold out. There was a lot of buzz around this one and people love it. I think a lot of people canceled this one because Lino, they were not a fan of. But I like it. It's going to look really neat with the whole Thundercat line. So to save time, I'm going to try and mix sculpt and paint together as I move up each piece, and I'm going to see my next few reviews how that works. By the way, if you notice, I'm wearing the same shirt as other reviews because I'm doing a ton of reviews this week, and I actually do change my clothes daily, most of the time. So as I said, the base, I don't know what they were trying to do, because there's a mix of a cave, there's that, you know, cauldron type stuff, there's a snake stone pedestal with animal heads all around it, but every single one I really like, starting with the snake scales all around the bottom. It's really cool. It's very obvious that it was supposed to be a snake, but it could just, you know, be part of the support for the base. I really like how they did that. I wish they would have added a snake head. Instead, they have an alligator, a warthog, a bird of some type, maybe vulture, and a bull. And all are done very well. I like how they were able to maintain kind of the stone aspect of it, so you can tell it's a statue head, but making it very clear what kind of animal it is. And they were able to mix in a lot of the great colors with this, so it's not your classic dark gray stone, but it's a lighter tan, almost like what I would think of when I think of a monument or something very old. And they mixed in flecks of brown and gold and copper and black, and there is some gray flecks in there, and some are darker, and it shows that it's aged. So the paint and the sculpt on that part of the base I really like. Then I want to talk about the liquid goo, the purple goo that's in there. I do like how you can see there's waves sculpted into it and it's bubbly. I like the paint colors and how it's shiny. I wish they would have done more of a clear type resin on it. That would have put it to the next level. The base he's standing on, so the cave type material, which has the stalactites, as I said, going down. A lot of cool sculpture and depth in those to show the individual stalactites. I just like saying stalactites. Then also on the top, the rough area, I like how it moves up, and there's plenty of texture in it, and the paint adds to that texture. So there's some darker grays up here to look more like a cave, along with following a lot of the colors that were originally in the base. Mumm-Ra himself, I'm going to kind of jump all over, but first I just want to talk about his skin tone and musculature. It's very well done. He's very strong, very posed. I think they did a good job with his anatomy. The only thing I don't really see is I don't see a lot of veins, which you typically see with this many muscles, but of course he's not really a human being, so it could follow correctly. But they did a good job with the development of his arm muscles and his abs and his thighs. And then even on his feet is really the only place that there's some variation in the blue. It's a little bit darker, which I'm confused by, because I guess that may be comic or cartoon accurate, but I'm not sure. Otherwise, it's a lot lighter blues mixed throughout, but like I said, there are some darker blues on his toes. I do like the sculpt in his hands. Good definition. It shows the wrinkles and the fingernails and the claws. Sometimes there's a big miss on hands, and I think they nailed that. Next, I want to talk about his mixed media. So part of this is sculpt, part of this is mixed media. The mixed media is the cape, obviously, and the threads coming out of his helmet, and I'm not a fan of this. I do like mixed media, but I don't like this very much. I do like the fact that it's torn and worn, so you can tell that Mumm-Ra's been through battles. I mean, he is a mummy, so he's probably millions of years old. The other part of mixed media is actually his loincloth here, but ironically underneath that, which I think is very cheap and flimsy, is mummy bandages, which you also see by his shin guards on his legs and feet. And these are really cool. They're sculpted, there's a lot of depth to them, there's a lot of texture. The paint was done with a lot of good colors to make them old, and it's clear they are mummy bandages. Then also you have some mixed media, almost sculpt. It's hard to tell. It's probably more closer to sculpt on his chest, including the Thundercats, or not the Thundercats, but his emblem. A few different variations in the colors there, some gold, some brown, some reds. A lot of decoration on him. He also has those mummy straps by his wrist guards as well. So I like how they maintain that. Then lastly, let's talk about his portrait. Very cool Mumm-Ra portrait. A lot of good sculpt done in here to really nail comic book likeness. There's some depth in his mouth and his eyes, and then his teeth I really like. They're crooked and they're menacing, and then they did a good job with the paint app on top of that, including, you know, the darkness in the eyes, below the eyes, and then the red in the eyes, and then the gums and the off-white teeth. And then lastly, his helmet. I really like this. This is what reminds me of Conan, probably. The two snakes hitting each other. I like the gold, faded gold in his helmet, and then the texture of the top with the snakes facing each other. Some good detail both in the paint, the blackish paint, and the sculpt in that. So overall, very cool piece. If you're a Thundercats fan, pick it up tomorrow. I think they may have overestimated the Thundercat following, because this will probably be their best Thundercat piece, and it's still available with an ES of 600. They probably should have done an ES of around 350 or so, and it would have been instantly sold out. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like, please share, please subscribe, and let's measure this guy really quick. Again, my measurements aren't accurate. Please see Sideshow for accurate measurements. 23.5 at the top of his sword here. Scimitar. Depth. You got about 12 inches with the head of some of these creatures, and then it's going to be the same the other way, 12 by 12 by 23.5. So it doesn't take up too much real estate, which is really nice. Again, thanks for watching. If I rush through it, I apologize, but hopefully that gives you a better idea whether you want this piece or not. Take care.